the tour or whatever it is, the production, then sometimes it's not for now. You're not meant to be on that one, and
Yeah.
it's not a bad thing, because I think when we're younger, we're like, but I need it.
Yeah.
It's that
I just
hunger
want to act. I
act,
don't
and
care what it takes. I just want to
yeah,
act.
I used to, I used to believe that I could play any role, um, and then the industry told me that I couldn't actually.
Yeah.
So I had to be in that moment, and then I think it kind of ties in. Believe what you're saying.
Welcome to Mamwa. I'm Gordy Camp, your host, and this is the podcast that includes you into my most famous song lyrics.
He's a middle-aged man with an attitude, and he didn't even have one till he met you.
That's right, I'm the middle-aged man, and my attitude will chatter us through all things that I'm passionate about, from spirituality, the gym and fitness, food, travelling, and music or movies. Quick disclaimer, this list is not exhaustive. So you can get on or you can get off and join us for the episodes that you like the sounds of. Dip in or dip out, as long as you keep dipping. Either way, we've got something to say, and we're going in 3, 2...
One chat that prompted a full-on World to Rights discussion, and everyone online loved it. So today we're going to take a look behind the curtain and discuss some of the wonders and the worries of life on performance in the stage and in the wings. Our returning creative director and CEO of Mooville Theatre Company, in her shows and productions, making a massive difference in community work and groundbreaking shows to raise awareness and entertain. So welcome back to the show, Marlene Mckenzie. Welcome to Mamwa again. How are you?
Thank you for having me again. Woo!
So I'll tell you what, let's start where we left off. How did all your shows go for Don't Forget the Rush that you were about
Oh my,
to do? How was it?
it was amazing. We had such a mixture of audience that came to watch it, because we did two shows of it. We did the one in August, and then we did another one in October, which was actually in a church. And it was it just felt so beautiful in there, because it was a beautiful church inside, St. John St. Peter's Church in Ladywood. And because that's the community church, um, it everyone just kind of came out, and it was young generation, elder generation. It was just such a beautiful kind of moment to perform there, and especially the history of Black people not being able to go into church. It was just like a bit of a moment for that performance. But yeah, we had some fantastic feedback, and it was just like we need to tour. So that's the plan.
Yeah, perfect. So, I'm taking for granted here that some of the listeners for this episode might not have picked up the last episode. So, give us a bit of a background on this will be great for when you do go on tour as well. Don't Forget the
Yes.
Rush. What's that about? And give us a bit of a background.
Okay. Yeah. So Don't Forget the Rush was first premiered in 2023. Yes, for the 75th anniversary for the Windrush Day, and we did it at Edgbaston Community Centre. And it started off as a 20-minute show, which it was a full house straight away, and there was laughter, and there was just this conversation and education. And so from there, we developed it, and the piece is a very different approach to it. It's not where they go into England, we find out. It's actually about two women on a journey, and they're kind of, I don't want to give too much away, but their stresses and strains of going into the foreign and motherland. So that's what it's about.
Yeah, perfect. So I'll tell you what, I had a conversation with obviously another performer in one of our previous episodes, and she actually streams some of her performances. So just
Yeah.
for our listeners that are not Ladywood's in Birmingham and Edgbaston's in Birmingham in the UK. So if any of you guys are not part of the UK, this just might be something we're thinking about. Like if you stream some of
Yes.
your, you can sell tickets for those as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that would be a
Definitely.
brilliant thing to look into.
Definitely.
But I did mention, like, if we follow on this episode from the last one, and again, bit of background for anyone who's listening. In the last episode, Marlene and I put the world to rights. We got into some really great conversations about race, inclusion, representation. We were talking about Windrush, obviously, because of the show. We had a lot of conversation about performance, how Marlene's spirituality and messages around the world got like played a part in her moving forward in her company and stuff. So for this episode, like what I've decided to call this for you guys listening is how to hack your performance with Marlene Mckenzie. So for newbies to the industry, performance industry, any of us who are coming back to the industry after a few years out, or this is going to help any of you performers who are still in the industry get over your egos, and we will keep you in check. So hopefully that will help you guys as well. But let's start with the burning questions, because both of us over the years have directed, and you're still a creative director of your company and you still direct. So I think we'll start with casting for a start. So the first conversation point that I just wanted to cover was going for jobs, and this is what I've kind of written down here, going for jobs that we don't match.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of people, especially the newbies that I mentioned, going into the industry. We just
Yeah.
want to work, and we just want to go. I'm an actor, so I'm good at everyone. I can pretend to be
Yeah.
everyone. So when it comes to professional auditions, we're like, I'll just apply for everything because I can portray anyone. But then for you as a director or casting for your shows,
Yeah.
what would you say the percentage is of the people who apply for those auditions
Yeah.
being related to those characters?
um, the thing is, I the reason why I set up my company is so that I can play those roles that I'm not stereotypically part of or look like.
Yeah.
I'm very good at being stereotyped as the bully, as a witch, as the big girl, or kind of like, mean girl and angry. And it's nice to play softer roles. But as a casting director, you do have an image in your head. And sometimes the right actor can come in and change your perception, because you're thinking, oh, actually, I didn't think of her in that way. And I'm quite organic with the process. So I'll have an image in my head,
Yeah.
and then someone might do something and I'm like, oh my goodness, I want to do that. That's actually, yes, what about that? So it's different when you're a writer. You've got your casting list, you know what they look like, how they should be, what age they are. But sometimes if you're kind of a creative director in that way, where you are moving with the process, it's a different thing. So I have had people come in and you've gone, no, that's definitely not. Maybe the voice is too soft for the character. Maybe I'm just looking for some. They may all look different, but it's not what they look like. It's something about the character that I'm like, no, you don't have that essence.
Yeah.
And I think it's, I not just me, but some people think slightly different. Then you have to look a certain way.
Yeah, that's interesting, because when we were casting for our short film Amy, that we did with GC Productions years ago, we just had all these CVs come in, and we didn't do everything digitally back then, just for anyone
Nope.
listening, right? So we printed out all these CVs, and we had all these headshots printed out. We had mail auditions coming in, like mailing, not mails. But
Yeah.
we just kind of sat and went yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, based on face, hair
Yeah.
color, eyes, and it was so. That at the time just made me feel shit. I was like,
Yeah. I
because I
know.
know how it feels to be the actor going, I can portray anyone. I'm a good actor. I can do
Yeah.
this, but it's just so difficult. But then, going from what you say, then how do you make sure that you are getting the right people in the room based on face value?
I think you can look at a picture and you go, okay, yeah, that person's right. But I like workshops, and I like to have a one-to-one, and I ask the questions that you don't normally have at an audition, because quite a few actors go, I've never been asked that before. But it's about you, and how can you bring yourself to the process, because that character has to be real.
Yeah.
So what real essence have you got in yourself that can bring to the character? So you can be fantastic at acting, but then also, if you're going to be touring with those people as well, if you're going to work with them, what are they like in the room? Do they play with you? Do they like what you're doing? Because I've had people like, I don't get it, which is fine. That means you're not understanding how I work and the process of what I do, what I do. But yeah, it's a tricky one. But I feel like you sometimes get a bit of an energy about someone, and you think, you know what? They may not even look the part, and you're like, I don't know, there's something about them that I just need to, maybe I need a second audition where I just see them playing this character. And so, yeah, I kind of go on that. As I said, it's hard face value, it really is, because it's just literally your face.
Yeah.
And if your face fits, then yes, if it doesn't, it doesn't. But then you can get that actor, they can be the brilliant actor, but then they don't take direction great.
So let's flip the coin then. That's your casting director side. What about when you are applying for auditions elsewhere?
I hate auditions.
Yeah. How do you make sure that you're applying for the right stuff without just applying for everything? Or do you just apply for everything and see what lands? I don't know. What do you do?
I used to believe that I could play any role. And then the industry told me that I couldn't actually.
Yeah.
So, like, no, Bab.
Yeah. Nice try. Off you fuck.
Yeah. And even the fact that they've got it in their heads that they know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's some roles I pick and choose what I want to audition for.
Yeah.
I think last time I auditioned could have been about 3 years ago. And I had to sing as well. I haven't sung for a very long time. And I was like, goodness me, what? I'm not even like this on the stage. But because it's things that I haven't done for so long, and an audition where someone's judging you, I feel like as a casting director, you've got a bit more pressure. I don't know why you feel like I'm proving them that I can pick people as well.
Yeah.
So it's a hard one, but then I do understand when I don't get picked, because I remember I was literally, the lady called me up and she said, you were so close. It's just that the other lady had something slightly different, but she said, if she doesn't do it, we really want you. And it's like, how do you take that? But at least, you had something for them to think about, like, yeah, you was in it. So maybe I wasn't hitting that character, but it was fine. The other thing is not to take auditions personal, because I've been, you're casting and you say to someone they haven't got the job and then they don't talk to you.
Yeah.
And it's not because they're bad, it's just that there may not have been the timings, like the dates, they're not there for the certain dates, or they're just not that character as well. So
yeah.
Then
it also goes back to what you said like a couple of minutes ago about you've got somebody in mind, and some casting directors will not sway from that. They could see somebody do it much better, but like, that's not what I wanted though. Like, I loved it, but it's not what I'm after for this project. So even somebody who's portraying something better is still not right for the job. And that's not to say that somebody's better than anybody else. Everyone is just different. That's all it is. We're just different in the way we portray stuff. But you've actually covered quite a few things that we're going to cover as we move forward. But just, do you know what you say about the industry made you aware that you can't apply for everything? For me as well, I did some workshops in London, and when we did the showcase, I spoke to a lot of people, but the woman that became my agent actually came up to me and she was like, "You're hilarious. You're a great comedy actor, and I've got so many comedy roles that I could put you up for." And I was like,
"What?
I'm funny. I didn't even showcase a comedy script." And she was like, "Oh, that was so funny." And do you know, she put me up for so many comedy roles. Like, she put me up for like shorts on Channel 4 comedies, BBC like online, BBC 3, like, things like 2 Pints of Lager and all that kind of stuff. That was all she put me up for. Obviously, I didn't get any of them, like, because people don't really know who I am, obviously. But like, I was just like, why did you keep but she thought I was hilarious, and that was the perception she had. I wasn't right for any of the roles.
Yeah.
And that kind of, I must have been funny because I kept getting the same auditions.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then I started getting cast in comedy tours like Aladdin and like Wishy Washy, for God's sake, and Toadie from Wind in the Willows and all that kind of nonsense. And I was like, I
Yeah.
must just have a funny face for people to like that comedy side of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just ended up in this whole comedy bubble, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I didn't know I was funny, but it
But did you
worked.
do it? But did you want to do comedy?
I didn't mind. I was just happy to get the
Yeah.
work at the time, and it just became what I always did.
Yeah.
But then, what about things like dress code? Because when I put this on the list, I was thinking about things like some people are going for parts in computer games or voiceovers.
Yeah.
How do you dress for an audition if it's either a voiceover? I know most
Yeah.
people send tapes, but if you have to go to a studio and do stuff, there is a dress code that people expect. What do you think that might be? Like
Gosh.
when
I
when
think
you're doing workshops, do you expect them to come in a similar attire that the character might wear?
yes and no, because it's physical workshops. It's normally clothes that they're comfortable to move in. Um, it's nice to have something because sometimes I might say bring a prop, and that could be anything that they think the character would have. So that just shows me what they would do with the prop. And because I'm coming from kind of a physical side, I'm not expecting to come in heels. And even if it's a secretary, because that secretary might be a movement secretary, or
Yeah,
do you see what I mean? It's the type of shows that I do. So sometimes I thought blacks. I hate wearing blacks. I'm a colourful person. Actually, I used to wear pink quite a lot. I used to think that was my power colour and wear pink. Wasn't too bad actually. But yeah, I don't know. But then if it's, I think it kind of give them a little bit of an inkling of what the character could be. I sometimes use my hair. So I may have, obviously it's curly today, I may have it all pulled back if it's like, say, if it's a Shakespeare character. So it's, I don't know, and then just wearing loose clothes. I've always thought wear loose clothes because you don't know what they're going to ask you to do. Say, let's do high kicks. I know I'm not going to get there, but I'm going to try.
Yeah.
with tight jeans, a little bit of a kitten here. So it's changed so much because we've got a lot of self-tapes. That's the change. So
Yeah.
as I said, it's been 3 years since I've done, actually I think it's been more, but a self-tape was the last audition that I did.
Yeah. And saying that,
So,
even like I did a couple of self-tapes last year, and I was in like tracky bottoms, shirt and tie, and I'm like, oh yeah, they'll never know. But then I kind of feel like, just to change the subject slightly, I kind of feel like that did me a disservice because I wasn't fully dressed in a suit.
right.
So because I personally felt dressed down,
Yes,
I maybe didn't do the best job.
I hear you.
Even because I could have filmed it 40 times, but
Yeah.
every 40 of those may have been like I wasn't fully in it because I didn't feel in it. So
Because the costume makes you
yeah,
feel like the characters in it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then like when I first went into auditions, I decided to go to an acting coach down in London, and he said to me, when you get here, can you make sure you're wearing something you want to wear to auditions? And he said, and bring one other outfit that's contrast. And I thought that was a bit strange, but when I got there, he was like, I just want to see how I would feel if you auditioned for me.
Okay.
And he said, I like what you're wearing. He said, what else have you got? And then he actually pointed out that if I had a mix of both, like
Yeah.
I went in bright blue jeans and a white jumper.
Okay.
Because I was like, I need to stand out. So let's be bright.
But that's yeah.
Yeah, but then I brought a contrast, which was black jeans or like dark jeans and like a beigey green kind of top, like a khaki
Okay.
type top.
Yeah.
And he said, actually, if you wear those jeans with that t-shirt, the khaki, or switch it so that your jeans are darker. And he's like, you're more noticeable because your skin tone or whatever. I can't remember what he
Right.
said, but it was something like that. And I was like, oh. And it really got me in the head. So it's like, I need to really be aware of what I'm wearing.
Yes.
But when I talk about things like voiceover, I was actually thinking about the guy that played a dragon in Mysterious Beasts. I can't remember what his name was now. But when he did the acting job, he was just in green screen. So it wouldn't, I don't know if it would have mattered, but what would he have done when he went into that audition
Yeah.
to get the look, to get noticed a bit more rather than just the voice?
Yeah.
And that's why I was thinking about that. But then let's talk about, you mentioned a couple of things here, right? You mentioned having to sing as an actor. So being an actor that sings rather than a singer who can act. I thought we'll touch on that. But then you mentioned workshop auditions. So cover those two first.
Okay.
When I got parts in like Aladdin and Wind in the Willows, I had to sing. I'm not a singer. I know I record music, but they're not great. My songs aren't great. I sing. I'm not great. I can hold a tune now and again, but you have to practice. And some people just avoid singing auditions or singing jobs because they're like, I can't sing. But I've got jobs as a non-singer.
Yeah.
Because you can act through it.
Absolutely.
Like, how are you a singer? Can you sing?
I can. It's a long story. No.
Okay,
I
go on.
can.
We've got time.
No, I can sing. It's a really weird thing I have with my voice because before I got to theatre school, because my voice was, right now, obviously I'm suffering from a larynx kind of infection. So it's much huskier. I used to speak higher than I did because my voice was lower. So I had a bit of a complex with my voice when I was younger.
Okay.
But I used to sing all the time. And then when I got to theatre school, I was told I was a contralto, and that's fine. And then I found my voice at theatre school. So after I actually finished theatre school, I actually did more singing than acting, so which was really bizarre. But then I think life got in the way in terms of things just happened, and it's true. Your singing is mental. So when that gets knocked, then for some reason I believe that I wasn't the best, not the best singer, but the singer that I know I can be. And sometimes I'm thinking I'm not in tune. So then I'm just like, oh no, I'm not going to sing. But it's actually about the feelings and emotions of when you're singing.
Yeah.
And I surprised myself at that audition because she said, your voice is beautiful. It's got a beautiful tone. And it's like, I still got it. It's just, it's a different fear singing than acting, even though you apply the same principles. I think you know that. I think because there's so much singing kind of like X Factor and The Voice, and people are really constant about singing, when actually you just need to sing to show that emotion and to show that character. It's not that who can belt the biggest. You know, I got compared to Nina Simone. Man came up to me and he said, "You sound like Nina Simone." I was like, "Thank you." At theatre school, I didn't even know who Nina Simone was, but someone said it to me. He was like, "Yo, you've got a quality." I was like, "What?" Nina Simone. Go and look her up. So I started looking. I was, oh my gosh. So I have got a deep voice. She's a contralto. It's good to sing in that way. So I've always had a bit of a push and pull with my voice. But if I really want a part and I really want to sing, because sometimes I do want to sing, then I'll go for it. And I try not to let the fear get in the way. So yeah, it's a bit of a, but I wouldn't call myself a singer.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I'm very similar to that. Because when I was in drama school, I used to do karaoke like once a year or whatever if I was drunk.
Yeah.
And if I sang the songs I knew, I was good. But
yes.
You don't think that when you do the same thing over and over again, you get better at it? That's why I was good at singing those songs.
Absolutely.
But then there was singers in my year at drama school, and I was like, these people are amazing. So when I was singing with them, I was like, I must be amazing.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
I recorded myself, and I listened, and I nearly fell through the floor. I was like, I am awful. I'm tone
Oh, no.
deaf. I cannot sing worth a shit. And then again, like for anybody who's actually thinking, oh, how would I know if I'm a good singer? Then
Yeah.
just think of your voice as a muscle. If you want a six pack or a flat belly, even not a six pack, even if you want your stomach to be a bit flatter, you would do 100
Yeah.
steps a day for a month.
Yeah.
That's going to bring your stomach in because it tightens your core.
Mm-hmm.
If you want bigger biceps, you have to work
Work on that.
work on dumbbells. Your voice
Yeah.
is exactly the same. So for
Absolutely.
me, I had to go away, and every time I sang, I had to record it. So
Right.
my voice inside my head sounds perfect, but when I
Yeah.
hear what it actually sounds like, it's shocking. So that's what taught me what I physically had to do to make this better. Obviously, a few years down the line, I ended up in a band and I was getting parts in musicals and stuff. But that's only because I practiced those songs over and over and over again. I
Yeah.
could come off stage, go down to the
Yeah.
karaoke bar, try and sing Adele, and I would be shit. And like when I was in the band, like people used to be like, "Oh, it's so good to be a natural singer. You're amazing," or whatever. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Mate, I've been singing this song for 4 years. That's why I'm so good at it." Like, if you heard me, if I sang something random that somebody says, "Oh, you'd be good at this," I would be
Yeah.
terrible. Leave that song
Right.
with me for 6 months.
So you
I'll
get
blow
to.
you away.
Yeah.
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 But I
I hear
think
you.
for anyone kind of who's never sang and like, well, I can't audition for singing stuff, all I would say is decide who you sound like and
Yes.
sing like those people. Like
Yeah.
I could pick up an Ed Sheeran song. I can't sing it
Yeah.
until I've had it for a month. I could pick up
Yeah.
not a David Bowie. I could pick up a Michael Bublé song. Give me a day, and I could sing it. I
I
could
hear
pick
you.
up I could pick up an Adele song. I need 6 months on
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
depending
Yeah.
who I sound like, because I've got quite a
Yeah.
low Doric tone. Like, if I
Right.
don't change my voice,
Yeah.
I can't sing it.
Well, maybe it's the genre.
That's exactly it.
Sometimes your voice is suited to a
Yeah,
type of genre. Like my sing is kind of like jazz, and then maybe the 70s soul songs,
yeah,
and
yeah.
maybe even the 90s. I wouldn't call myself like I couldn't bow Adele. I probably could, but it wouldn't be. It's different because of the tones of your
Yeah,
voice.
yeah.
So you're right about like understanding. When you said that, then I was thinking, oh, Michael Bublé. Okay, that means you're geared more towards that kind of sound
Yeah.
and
You give me anything
experiment.
between 30s and 50s,
Yeah,
and I've pick it up within a day or two. Like,
right.
but
Yeah,
anything above that, the way the
yeah,
music industry changed,
yes,
or like when I say like Ed Sheeran, he raps a lot. He goes really fast.
yeah.
So because I'm going so fast, you can't hear whether I'm good or not. Does that make sense? Like, because the words are
But
coming
that's
out so
yeah,
quickly.
yeah. But
Yeah,
that's a skill. You've got to get your mouth through those T's and
yeah,
D's and whatever it is. So
yeah.
yeah,
So it's
okay,
very interesting. But just again, for anyone listening, if you're
yeah,
scared about that singing thing, you just act your way through it.
yeah,
Act your way through
yeah,
it.
definitely.
So then workshop auditions. I know for me, I love workshop auditions because you just
Yeah,
do whatever you have to do, have a laugh. It's fun. You can play like Marley and I used to do workshops together, and like it wasn't for always for auditions, but we just used to
yeah.
workshop in like acting groups, and you could just mess about. You could just play with things, and
Just
it was
very,
playful experiment.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's your favorite workshop audition that you've been part of?
I'm going back. I'm going back. I think it was. Gosh. Oh, actually, I can't remember the company. There was such a fantastic company, and it shut down. I'd say in in like 2014.
Okay.
They did Thatcher the Musical. I can't remember the name of the company. Anyway, they were great. But I remember that with this audition, it was music, and so people who could play instruments, physical performances, and just an all-round audition. And what I loved about that was that you was able to do certain things. You had script work, then you did a bit of the devising, and then you got to hear people play their instruments. And I've always wanted to play the violin. And I never forget, I felt like I was just learning from this woman, because the way she was playing the violin, her performance just went up a gear, and that passion. I know I'm supposed to be showing myself and my skills, but when you're receiving that as an actor or a performer, I'm just like, imagine a scene and you're speaking along with this violin. I just thought, she's amazing. So it felt like she was feeding the characters with the instruments. It was such a different type of audition. And I've always remembered that. I just remembered her just playing, and that passion and presence that she had.
Yeah.
And I forgot myself. I forgot I was in an audition, which is good sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of think, okay, am I doing all right? I don't know what I'm doing. Is it okay? Am I gelling with other people? I have been in an audition where there's been a fight. Like a kind of a fight.
Do you know what? I'm not surprised, because I was literally, when you were talking about other people, I was thinking some of these like workshop auditions, everyone's trying to get noticed. Like, or not everyone. Some people are just trying so hard to get noticed that they don't care about everyone else in the audition.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I used to just step back, let everyone get their moment, because the only moment that matters is when you do that final kind of show and tell, certain thing. So I was just like, I'll play my part, I'll stay quiet, and then when it comes to it, you won't know what's hit you.
Absolutely.
Like,
I hear you.
And that's not to be spiteful. That's just like, if you observe everyone first and you get a good 20 minutes to observe how everyone else is, you can work around it.
Yeah.
You're not screaming for attention then. You're like, okay, because you do that, I need to be a bit more subtle at this point. Or because you're always in my face, if you're going to make everything loud and abrupt, I'm going to make it much more softer, because that's going to get me noticed instead of...
Yeah.
And it's very interesting to be more observant than get into that whole bah, 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 bah. I did to like, but like,
you're like,
it's just,
whoa,
but some people do, they just go too far, and you're like, calm down, like, take a moment.
Exactly, the working relationship. So them two wouldn't be able to work together, and that was the whole purpose, to see the different groups who looked great together.
Yeah.
I was just like, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
But it happens, and I think passion plays a lot into it. Sometimes it can be a passionate person, you really want the best out your group. And then sometimes they're just not a nice person.
Yeah. But then again, for a group audition or a workshop, even, like, your passion, if your passion comes out as excitement, everyone's motivated and your group becomes motivated. Whereas if your passion comes out in, I need my space, I need to be the main one, like, it doesn't help anyone, even yourself. It's just dangerous. But I was going to talk about one of my auditions for a Samsung advert, because it was a group audition, not a workshop. It was a group audition, and because of how many people went for this job, they did auditions in groups of 6. And the reason it comes back to what we're talking about, other people, and this is why I wanted to mention it for the listeners, because there was 6 of us in a line, and 6 of us facing the front, and there was 5 panel members. Like, they must have been Samsung board members, or like directors for the commercial, the people who were funding it. I don't know who they were. We weren't told. We were just said, right, here's a phone. You have to have a conversation on the phone, and you get 30 seconds each. That was it.
Wow.
And I was the end. I was like, oh my God. But do you know what was helpful here? Coming back to people, was I'm always quite observant. I'll watch
Yeah.
and react. I won't just
Yes.
do what I, so I had 3 minutes worth to think about what everyone else was doing. And everyone else were arguing on the phone. They were
Right.
having an argument with their partner, or they were worried about somebody, or somebody had an accident, and I was like, why is everyone being so negative?
Yeah.
So I flipped it on its head, and I
Right.
had a great conversation. I was like, oh my God, that's so exciting. When did that happen? I can't wait to see you. Let's go for dinner. And I just turned it into this whole positive conversation. And I got the job.
But
And
see,
unfortunately, I couldn't do the job because I had a presenting job at the time. Um, I'll go into it, but basically, I had a
yeah.
presenting job, and they couldn't cover my presenting job for 3 days. Um,
Right.
and the job itself was like £8,000 for the job and 25k for a buyout, so they could use it forever. But I had to do the maths because they couldn't cover those 3 days. If they said, if you don't do these 3 days presenting, you'll lose your contract, and I would have lost my job basically. And
Okay.
so that 20 or 30 odd k would have lost me a year's salary. And in that year, if I hadn't managed to recover that, it would have outdone me for years to come. So for
Yeah.
that reason, I didn't take the job.
Yeah.
Um, if they'd managed to cover it, I would have had an amazing buyout, 3 days away from work, and then I would have gone back to presenting. But I
Yeah.
still had that presenting job for 5 more years. So the
Yes.
income outweighed the
The
chance, if that
absolute.
makes
Yeah.
sense. So that
Yeah.
brings me on to my next kind of part here, was temping work between jobs, right? So
Yeah.
when you're auditioning and you don't know what's happening next, what kind of jobs have you done to kind of bridge that gap? Because
What have
I know I've had a few, but we're here about
oh,
you.
yes. Oh, I've done, let me see, I've done waitressing, bar work, ushering, and then when I got the skills workshop, it was workshops, doing drama workshops and teaching. So that was my main bread and butter,
Yeah.
doing the workshops. But yes, I'd go back to the bar work a little bit, but then yeah, it was mainly the workshopping. Um, and ushering, actually, I was ushering at Birmingham Rep. That was great because he was able to watch shows as well.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it, actually. Really enjoyed it. And that was, I think I went into jobs that I could still have a taste for it. Because I remember when I was waitressing, and sometimes the way people spoke to you, and you just kind of go in, I don't need this.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. So I think, even though sometimes you would have people to speak to you in a different way, but you was just surrounded by the theatre and the energy, and that's what kept me going, because you're seeing the stage, sometimes seeing the actors mess about on stage, because like, you weren't doing that yesterday, why are you pinching the back of his shoes or whatever. So you kind of, and then the drama workshops, that was the thing where I realized that I could have gone into teaching, because I loved working with young people and delivering drama and getting the best out of them. So I kind of started to change tasks a little bit.
Yeah.
Found something I enjoyed.
Yeah. I love the
Yeah,
teaching at weekends for kids, because it's
yeah,
directing young people, and you can just help them be better over
yeah,
time. I just love it. Um,
yeah,
but then this kind of conversation leads to, when work comes in and you've got that decision for security and stability,
yeah,
not everyone has got maybe childcare to say, right, I've got a 2-day job to go and do a commercial, or I need to go and do a week in the theatre.
yeah,
How do people manage that when they're not in their younger days and they don't have the family or the
yeah,
security? Like, it's so difficult.
yeah. It's a hard one, because when you spoke about the choice, I kind of was in a similar choice, but I was just young. I had a part on Doctors, but I was going to my first ever holiday to America, and I chose to go to America.
Yeah.
I needed it, and I think it's what you need. And if you believe that you're going to get there, if you feel like that's the shot, if you feel like this is the audition, this is the thing that I need to do, then for some reason you will find a way to audition or to be able to do that job.
Yeah.
But if it was not meant for you, it won't be for you. That's what I've learned, definitely. Like when I was doing Daniel and the Human Zoo, I just not long had my son, and yeah, and I was like, oh my goodness, I've not done it again. I've not done an audition for ages, and then my mum was able to look after him, and then I was like, so if it happens, how am I gonna get childcare? But it would have worked out. So I was like, I had to think about going for the audition if I was able to, and I did. And I'm so glad I did, because then I got it, and that's why I said it worked out for me. But that's a major factor. I wasn't sure if I should or not.
Yeah.
Because like, oh, I don't know if I can, I can't. But yeah, I think it's about your instincts and what you really want to do.
Yeah.
And you can, if you're asking and you're not able to make an audition or make the tour or whatever it is, the production, then sometimes it's not for now. You're not meant to be on that one. And it's not a bad thing, because I think when we're younger, we're like, but I need it. It's that.
Yeah.
It's that
I just want to act.
act.
I don't care what it takes. I just want to act.
Yeah.
And then some people are like, I just need a TV job and it'll all work out.
Yeah.
It's not all, doesn't always work like that. Having a 2-day slot on the set of Doctors, for example, doesn't lead to a permanent part in EastEnders. And this is where a lot of people get confused. It's like, if I could just get that first part, it'll lead to me going to EastEnders, and then from there I can get to Hollywood like so-and-so did, or like, and you just jump the stone. One stone doesn't always lead to another stone.
No.
And there's some really difficult decisions in front of you when you're looking at auditions, or like where you want your workflow to go. I mean, even now, I'm so secure in work and life, and I've produced a podcast like yourself. You're running a company and so secure. But what kind of acting job or performance? I'm going to make it quite broad. What performance job would have to come knocking on the door for me to take the job and leave everything else behind? And it's a hard question at the minute for me, because I'm like, it would take a big bloody job to remove the security that I've built.
Absolutely.
It's a difficult one.
Yeah, because TV work, you're starting at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I have to do my school runs.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'd like to do, is drop the kids off and pick them up.
Yeah.
They're getting older now where they're doing their own kind of thing soon, especially my younger one's still at primary. But not being able to do that, your priorities change.
Definitely.
If I was younger, cool.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
But then they do say that people our age have got more opportunities because everyone else has dropped out of the game. So
we do. So, like, I think if I went to go for an audition, I bet you would get it. Like, damn.
I know.
Which is a good thing, but at the same time, you think, okay, so he's going to look after the kids. Where they're going to be? Oh no, because you've got your whole life that you built, and you've got little routines that you're doing. So it's a tricky one.
Well, if there's anyone on TV casting at the moment, we're willing to do it. You just have to work around us, okay?
Which would be fantastic.
Yeah. Flexible working arrangements are everywhere now.
You're gonna get a phone call now.
Hybrid working.
Which you can do nowadays because of obviously what happened with the pandemic. There's this. You know, build things up and stuff, but it would. I'm literally thinking, like, what job would I be like? Sorry, kids.
Bye.
I'm off.
So that brings me to you know, when you get into the industry, and like coming from where we worry about what jobs we can take, or like, is there enough jobs or anything like that, and it creates a lot
Yeah.
of anxiety and stress, especially with things like auditions, and we build ourselves up into this anxiety and stress. And
Yeah.
the kind of start to this conversation for me was when I first started auditioning or getting into work, getting my first few jobs. People just go, "So
Yeah.
where did you train?" And it used to bug the living hell out of me. I used to just be
Oh,
like, what does it matter?
yeah. Yeah. Because it's that stigma around the school, isn't it? That you trained at.
Yeah.
Are you worthy of having this role? Because I trained at RADA or
Yeah.
Central, all
Yeah.
those prestigious schools. And I did. That's why I hated auditions as well. I hated the people who were going to come up against it. Like, and my agent yesterday called me for 5 jobs, and I was like, "Well, I haven't got an agent." So great. And so you're at that audition, trying to pump yourself up and be positive and like,
Yeah.
yes. And then you're hearing all these things where people are doing this. Oh yeah, I'm off to a next audition afterwards, and you're like, "Damn, I need to step my game up." Or why am I not doing these things like what other people are? I need to get myself an agent. But yeah, the school was a major thing. Where did you train?
Yeah. And even
And
when you were doing the same jobs as these people, like,
yes.
oh, when I went to Rose Bruford, or when I went to this or that, and I
Yeah.
met this person during a workshop. Mate, you did a workshop. Like, by the time, I used to get so anxious about it. Like, oh, they're making me feel like I'm not good enough. Like, even though I'm getting
Yeah,
the same wage, even though I'm on the same stage, even though, and it
yeah.
just used to. And I remember,
Is
like,
that
I
it?
was doing a tour once that, like, it was I can't remember the company, but we did like a tour that resulted in a month in the Edinburgh Fringe, and it
Right.
was with a Scottish company. And we toured with the like Scottish Royal Guards or something. Like, they used to play the bagpipes, and we did the show around them and stuff.
Okay.
And during that tour, somebody had a bit of a go at somebody else about they didn't train, um,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
they kind of just used their experience to get auditions. And I had a massive go at these people because I was like, "Who are you to tell that person that they shouldn't be on the same stage as you?" Not
Yeah.
everyone trains.
Exactly.
Some
Yeah.
people find other route ways into this industry, and like following that tour, like, he's gone on to do like Hollywood films. He's been on Coronation Street, EastEnders. Like, he's constantly on television. And
Yeah.
like, I went to see him like a couple of years ago, in the theater, and he's just done so well. And I always think about the way people used to be like, "Oh, what do you mean you didn't train? How did you get this job?" No, no, no. I can't deal with it. I can't deal with snobbery in the industry.
No,
Bugs
not at all.
bugs the living life out of me.
Yeah. No. I know students that I say to them, you could be working tomorrow
Yeah,
because that you just can't. But you can't train that. That's the thing. I think that's what I've learned. When you're older, you see things in a different way.
definitely.
And beforehand, it was you go to audition, you speak up, you have to be a certain way,
Mhm.
and actually, it's that raw gift that you've got. That's so you can't train it, and
Yeah,
sometimes some people are too teeth and tits, and it's too static. It's like, I want more emotion.
yeah,
Give me more emotion. And because it's like, okay, I'm going to go into method,
yeah,
and they go into method, when actually it's you just can kind of spark it. And that's when you're like, yeah, you're talking from experience because I am feeling what you're saying.
yeah,
And that's where I'm like, wow, I'd be with you, like, and
yeah,
he's here or she's here, and
yeah.
what? So I,
I
I don't
just
know
think
if,
it's like, do you know, back in the day, even like everyday jobs, you would go and shadow someone, or you'd go and
yeah,
workshop, you'd learn through the craft.
absolutely.
Why
Yeah,
is it any different in this industry?
yeah,
Like, you can attend 10 workshops anywhere in the world and become an actor. You don't need to go to a prestigious drama school and
yeah,
have met such and such a person, or pay £50,000 a year to learn how to
Yeah.
read a Shakespeare play. That can
Yeah.
be learned on YouTube these days. What's to
I-
stop any of us?
yeah. It's true. It's ourselves.
Yeah,
And
literally.
people who say, well, you shouldn't be in this room because you haven't gone to certain,
Yeah.
acting school.
And that's not to say that you don't need to learn. You just,
Yeah.
yes, you need to be resilient. You need to learn from your mistakes, figure out what works, what doesn't. But you have to learn. Doesn't matter where
Yeah.
you do it.
Yeah. You have to have some sort of, as you said earlier about the muscle,
Hmm.
especially voice. So if you're
Yeah.
doing theatre work, you need to go to voice classes to make sure that you can be sustainable.
Yeah.
Because you're doing, I remember I've done 3 shows a day. I was off my head.
Hmm.
I did theatre and education, 2 in the daytime, and then I was at the rep in the evening,
Yeah.
which were all high energy. And by the time I finished that, I had no voice left.
Yeah.
And that's because I wasn't looking after myself, and I knew how to look after myself. So that's where you learn and think, right, this is where people have said you've got to take this, make sure you're doing that, make sure you're drinking plenty of water, your honey and lemons for your voice. And sometimes you just forget because you're just in the moment of everything.
Yeah.
But that's when people are talking to you, you look up to certain actors and they tell you a few things, and and you learn from them.
Yeah.
And if they really want to see you do well, they will give you tips. I never forget this lady. Actually, I'm gonna big her up. Actually, I haven't spoken to her for years. Marcia Carr. We did a TIE tour years ago, and I remember her. And I should have said this in the audition because it kind of came to me. She said to me, "You are not in competition with anybody." And I went, "Okay," because she said, it's exactly what we were saying earlier. It's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
You're not in competition, so don't think you're in competition. They might want me because I've got short hair, but the other girl may look the same as me and have long hair. And that always kind of stuck with me as well. So I think that's why I kind of calmed down a little bit with audition, because I didn't see them like, oh, you look just like me. Actually, what are they looking for?
Yeah.
So yeah, it just stuck with me. But I had to pick her up because it's always with me.
Marcia Carr, you're a legend.
Cheers.
Right, so I'll tell you what, let's start to wrap it up. And we've got 5 things that I'm going to ask you for your top 3 things for the listeners to think about. Okay.
Okay.
So the first one, top 3 things for stage presence.
Oh. How you walk onto a stage, that character, if it's leading by the ear, lead with the ear. if it's your shoulders are back and it's quite high status, be that person. I think it's always about grounding yourself first as you step onto that stage, because that's the first time they see you enter the space. Second, I love saying this one, but be in the moment.
Yeah.
You have to be in that moment. And then I think it kind of ties in, believe what you're saying. Because sometimes we're thinking about the lines, going, oh gosh, what was the line? When actually, even if the line's wrong, the meaning should come out. And so that other person who's receiving it can kind of go, okay, it's not perfect, but it means this. So that's top 3.
Top 3 things for inviting or getting invites to auditions.
Oh, it's been a long time.
What do you look for then? Top 3 things that you would
A
want.
good picture, because it is about your face, and that picture represents what you are going for. So it's good to have at least 3 or 4 different character types. So if you're going for a serious role, then watch your serious face. It's kind of basic, but it's those good pictures that you go, oh, there's something about that. And even in your photos, you're acting in your photos, aren't you? So it's what you want them to see that you can bring to that character. Your skills, what's different? If you know sign language, something as different as that, because being accessible, is really important nowadays. So even if you've got certain skills that you would not necessarily put on there, it's like, oh, that's interesting. She does that. Okay. All right. I want to know more about that. So they kind of go, she's not just the, 5'8", this, that, and the other. There's something that you go, ooh. So that's picture, something about you. Third thing, it's different now. I'm just thinking of the paper. But beforehand, it used to be the paper.
Yeah.
I don't know, it sounds really weird, but just really decent paper. I know
Yeah.
it sounds so weird.
Or do you know what? Like, even online, like having the right credits,
Yes.
having the right jobs in the right order for that role. If you need to jig them about, depending on what you're putting through for, jig it about.
Absolutely.
Like top to bottom or bottom to top, doesn't matter. Just get the right characters in the right order.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yeah. Yes,
okay, so next, 3 things for actors who can't sing. We might have covered most of these.
And they want to sing.
For auditions. They've got an audition, they need to sing, and they're not used to singing. What do they do?
I'm good at comedy. Make it like you can't sing and sing the worst that you can sing. And even if that character can sing, try and change it where I'm doing this and then sing badly as if like, oh my goodness, I'm singing bad and I don't know what's happened to my voice, whatever. That's one.
And there's a lot of comedy songs that you can choose from as well. Just search comedy songs. Carry on, sorry.
Yeah. So try comedy character and sing through it. Have a song that isn't like it's not a belter, it's not a Mariah Carey. It's something that you say, it's that kind of like almost talking, but you can carry a tune with it. And with that, do not have dead eyes. Never forget that. Believe in what you're saying. Yeah. I'm gonna sing. So, just sing with the character in it. Yeah. Something just pops in my head as well. But yeah. And then the third one, goodness. Have a go. Because you don't even know. You may think you can't sing, but sometimes people are just jealous and they know you can probably hold a note, and sometimes you surprise yourself. So sometimes just have a go, because they say, you know what, at least you had to go, or actually we will work with you because there's something in your voice that's got a lovely tone, or we can hear it, but you just need a little bit more. And the feedback that you should, if you do get feedback, is maybe push your voice a bit more and try and sing.
Yeah.
But if you sing with conviction and can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. Okay, so 3 things on temping jobs between acting.
Oh. Okay.
I've got one. Don't do it. Sorry, go.
No, it's true. Sometimes don't have a plan B. I know it sounds mad. I know bills have to be paid, so I completely understand. But if you do have temping jobs, I feel always if you're good at something that you love, do that job as well. Because then at least you know that you're in between work. And remember, you're in between work. This is not you. Mm-hmm. You know, you're an actor, jobbing actor. So if you like that job, then have that job. Don't get a job that you feel like, it's a hard one, that's going to break your soul. Because the more you're in it, the more people speak down to you, the more you don't believe in your craft. And here you are. And then when you go into auditions, it becomes desperate sometimes, because if you go, I just need this job, rather than relaxed you who's ready to take on the role and you're just there. And then the third one, which I said earlier, is get a temping job that's in the field. Even if you're making coffee as a runner, because you're watching, you're learning, you're seeing how that director directs, you're seeing how that actor comes on stage, you're learning little quirks and stuff on there. So be around the environment as an usher, as I said, workshopping. That's a fantastic way to kind of build your own character, because you can make characters within your facilitation. So yeah, just be around positive jobs, not jobs that's going to get you down.
Love that. Okay, so finally, throughout all of this stress, and I'm gutted we didn't get to talk more about like staying well, but the top 3 things on staying well between all the stress.
Okay. Meditation. You have to just have to take a moment for yourself. It's really important, because you're going into characters that may have certain things that are triggering to yourself and to other people, and you need to know that when you finish that job, that you can mentally come down properly from it, so that you can have the best of yourself and look after yourself mentally. Can you repeat the question again? I just went into
staying well between the stress. Yeah.
So yeah, meditation. Doing the things you love, play. I know meditation, but play, like go out, see your friends. You're not your job. You are someone else as well. So you have a life and be about that. Try not to talk about, when someone asks you, so what are you doing now? Just kind of go, yeah, I'm having a break, but I'm doing this, which is something completely different from your job. So you're not living and breathing it.
Yeah.
And the third one to keep well is, I'm going to say exercise. Kind of exercising and kind of taking a moment, building back yourself, because I get ill after performances, and that's because I've been going, and then I stop. And actually, you can't just stop. You got to kind of find ways. So if it was a physical show, keep doing the physicality, keep listening to like positive podcasts like this, hearing things and making sure that you're physically, mentally, spiritually well, and just looking after yourself and just having me time, definitely.
Well, and just to top that off, really, and as a final note for anybody listening, I used to feel bad in between jobs because I wasn't acting. And if somebody says, "Oh, what are you working on at the moment?" I used to feel bad about myself for not acting. And it's like, oh, well, I don't have a job at the minute, but I am doing. And it's like, there's no shame in working in a different industry whilst so just let go of that. If anybody is or worried about that feeling of what's the word I'm looking for? Like incapable, it's escaped me. If you don't feel good about unworthy at that time, just let go of it. As long as you're aiming for the next thing, that's part of the job.
Yeah.
Working as a waiter or a waitress or an office temp is part of being an actor.
Yes.
Like, if you see it as part of your career, you don't feel shit about it. And it took me a few years to get over that, but hopefully that'll help some of you stay well. Well, Marlene, it's been amazing to have you with us again. That's been a great chat. Thank you so much. Can you just recap for anybody listening, company details, where we can find you, and a bit more about where all your things are?
Yeah, so it's Mooville Theatre, www.moovilletheatre.co.uk. And we're also on Instagram and TikTok and what else are we on? We're going on to LinkedIn now and Facebook. So you'll see all the stuff that we're doing there. We are going to be doing a lot of International Women's Day program. So I'm doing a new piece, which I'm really excited about because I haven't done a new piece for so long in terms of a one-woman show. We're doing things looking at mental health, looking at positivity, and just being you and loving you, because this is obviously the month of love as well. So yeah, you can find us on all those platforms. Oh, and YouTube, that's it. We've got a YouTube page as well, at Mooville Theatre.
Bro, thank you. I will actually. I've got some mental health books that I've written, which I can donate for that event if you want it. So, yeah, we'll have a chat about that. But I'll put all the links to Marlene's places in the show notes for you. Thank you guys for joining us in this episode. Leave us a comment below to let us know what your thoughts are on any of our conversation today. And you can continue the conversation by subscribing to the podcast on YouTube or on Spotify. Or you can find me on Gordy Camp TV on Facebook, at Gordy Camp on Instagram and Threads, just to keep that conversation going, and drop me some comments. We will hear from you soon, and keep on treading those boards and staying resilient to those castings. Bye-bye.